Dear students, welcome back to Lesson 3 of the e-learning course 0, Basics of Finance. In session 3.1, you will learn how to apply the present value formula introduced in session 1.1 for the purpose of stock valuation. The learning goal of this session is to understand how to apply the present value formula to find the value of common stock. For this purpose, we think back to session 2.1, where we explained how bonds are valued. In this session, we learned that the market value of a bond equals the discounted present value of the cash flows that the bond will pay over its lifetime. The aim of session 3.1 is to apply this idea to common stocks. Let's apply the discounted present value model to value stocks. The future cash flow to the owner of a share of common stock are the future dividends per share that the company will pay out. Following the logic that the value of an asset equals its discounted present value, we can conclude that the present value of a share of stock equals the present value of expected future dividends per share. Note, this approach is always true, even if investors buy stocks not just for dividends, but for capital gains. The expected return R is defined as the percentage yield that an investor forecasts from an investment over a specified period of time. In terms of a stock, the cash payoff is coming in two forms: cash dividends and capital gains. In terms of notation, P0 is today's stock price and P1 is the expected stock price 1 year from now. The rate of return that investors expect from this stock over the next year is defined as the expected dividend per share plus the expected price appreciation per share P1 minus P0 divided by the price at the start of the year P0. Let's illustrate the concept of expected return further by means of an example. Suppose for the purpose that Fledgling Electronic stock is selling for $100 per share today, and investors expect to sell it for $110 1 year from now. Assume that the dividend is forecasted to be $5. Using these numbers and substituted into our formula yields an expected return of 15%, where 5% are due to the dividend payment, the so-called dividend yield, and 10% can be attributed to the capital gain of 10. Using the expected return formula illustrated before, we can make predictions about today's stock price using forecasts of the future dividend and price as well the expected return of equally risky stocks are. Using this approach, it follows that today's stock price can be seen as a discounted future cash flow. Let us return to our example of Fledgling Electronics, where we expect a $5 dividend payment, a future stock price of $110, and a return of 15%. Applying the above formula, it follows that today's price equals $100. The discount rate R is called the cost of capital, defined as the expected return on other securities with the same risks as Fledgling stocks. The fact that stocks in the same risk class must be priced to offer the same expected return is fundamental for achieving an equilibrium in well-functioning capital markets. We can use this formula to forecast next year's price P1 or the price of the stock 1 year after. The approach is always the same. We discount the expected future cash flows of the stock by the discount rate to obtain the corresponding price. In this example, we look at the price in year 1 and year 2. For instance, the price in year 1 is the sum of the expected dividend and price in year 2 divided by the discount rate. It follows that we can express the price in the current period 0 in terms of future dividends and prices by substituting the price of year 1 into the price formula for year 0. We can do these substitutions as far out in the future as we like. If we call the final period H, the formula can be written as follows. This means that today's stock price is a discounted sum of future dividend payments and the expected price in year H. Let's illustrate the introduced stock valuation approach using an example. Suppose current forecasts are for ABC Company to pay dividends of $5, $5.25, and $5.50 over the next 3 years. At the end of year 3, we anticipate to sell the stock at the market price of $92. If we assume a return expectation of 11%, what is the price of the stock today? To answer this question, we use the previously derived stock price formula and discount each cash payment with the corresponding discount rate. Doing so implies a stock price of $80.09. Note, this is not a market price. It can be rather understood as an intrinsic value of the stock based on future expected cash flows. The previously derived stock valuation formula is called the dividend discount model. In this context, the stock price in period H is called terminal value. We can show that if H, the number of periods, approaches infinity, the present value of the terminal value converges to 0. It follows that the price of a stock can be expressed as the present value of a perpetual stream of cash dividends. After having carefully studied session 3.1, please start with the review questions.